Hey guys, it's Dave, and it has been a long minute since we sat down and talked about orchids together. Now, I do realize that a sizable percentage of my audience is glad about that, and that's fine. We do not want these plants to get into the wrong hands anyway. Kidding, 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 but it won't dissuade me from occasionally putting out a video sharing my passion for a family of plants that I am finding fascinating and very, very easy to grow. And I am going to blow the lid off of the Orchid Snob's secrets to growing orchids well, but not right here, right now. We've got to watch a little bit of this video. I have 15 new orchids to show you, from quite common and popular to at least one or two that I think anybody would consider kind of a connoisseur orchid. I'll put that in air quotes, just meaning I don't think many people have it. That's your connoisseur orchid. Not many people want to buy it. And then I have a family of plants because I got a theme thing going on for very good reason. So I'm going to have a little garden shelf, one area where I group these orchids, and I will get to why before I show those orchids. I won't rush it, but I'm not going to dilly-dally either. So first up, one of the most popular ones in my collection. As promised, one of the most popular in my collection, the Zygopetalum Debbie DeMello, and this one's called Honolulu Baby. Likes a ton of water, likes it cooler intermediate temperatures. It is grown in plastic and sphagnum moss right now. I will be transferring this to my marble granite in time, but this is how it came. It's flowering. I'm going to leave it alone. And tell me, we have discussed on this channel, if you're newer, that purple is the best color. Not just my favorite, it is the best color. This flower is not quite as nice. And this one just opened up, and just look how beautiful that is. And these are pretty large, I would say 4 inches. They're very long lasting, and they can bloom a couple of times a year with good culture. But friends, for me, I have made fun of having long COVID and not smelling well, and that is certainly true of foods and certain things. I think part of my attraction to orchids has been that I smell flowers so well, unless it's really, really subtle. Ain't nothing subtle about this one. This one for me is identical to those little twisty cinnamon candies you used to be able to get at a real candy shop, and now no doubt packaged. But it is absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. I am just a maven for fragrant orchids. I wouldn't skip buying a beautiful orchid just because it isn't fragrant, but when they come with a really spicy cinnamon fragrance like this, oh my, oh my, oh my, yes please, and more of it. I think I did mention that this grows cool intermediate, which is lovely for my house. It also only needs medium light, so it doesn't ask for much to give us all of this. That Zygopetalum is in the living room, where I also have an Oncidium Sherry Baby Sweet Scent, which is one that is known to smell like chocolate. It has a good 3-foot spray of 100 or more flowers on it. So my living room quite literally smells like a candy shop, and I just could not be happier about it. As we go through here, I'm going to show you the flowers of every plant that has flowers. I think 1 or 2 are new hybrids. Maybe they bloomed at the nursery, maybe not. I can't remember, but I've already got all that information logged onto the computer. And in terms of pronouncing the names, I'm just going to do my best. I'm just a guy on the internet learning how to grow orchids, okay? And by the way, American Orchid Society, who gives phonetic pronunciations, they're Americanizing Latin. You can't trust anybody anymore. So I'm just going to do my best. Right here, this is probably more on the connoisseur type side. This is Maxillaria scalariformis. And I think this is a pretty plant just as is. Now, I'm gonna want the flowers, of course. This is one that they note should never be left to dry all the way. It's another cool intermediate grower, and it's not a fragrant flower, but that's okay because look at how beautiful that is. This is, perspective gets thrown off on these videos. Plants often look much larger because they're holding them out there like catching the big fish. I would say this is a good foot tall right now. It's got this little guy down here. I don't know if that is a, yeah, that is a starter down there. So that'll be a minute, but it gets flowers all along the axis of these leaves. So I think that's a very pretty plant, and this one requires only low to medium light. And so another easy grower, unless you're like a really serious chronic underwaterer, even with moss, maybe this wouldn't be for you. As someone who's not an orchid snob, or a plant snob, or a bike snob, or a snob, I take great pleasure even in very popular plants. It does not have to be that imported plant from Brazil that nobody else has. I don't care. This is a very popular plant. This is a miniature. It's a Calocatlia Chantilly Lace Twinkle. And many people own this one. By the way, all of these plants I'm showing you right now are from Orchid Web, Orchids Limited, so orchidweb.com. Now, I do realize that a Cattleya looks relatively plain when it's not in flower, but this one can bloom in any season with good culture, of course, as it matures, is fragrant, and only requires medium light, and this is a miniature Cattleya. So I have got some specimen-sized Cattleya, and they are massive. And they're, 13, 14, 15 years old, you can get some Cattleya magic in a compact, beautiful, fragrant package. I've not smelled it yet. If it has what they call the classic Cattleya fragrance, well, I'm going to like it. Next up is a true miniature, the Symphonitis orbiter. This is a primary hybrid. This little guy right here is blooming size, as is all the plants I have shown you, as are all the plants I have shown you and will show you. I think those are really pretty leaves, and you can see by the anthracyanin coming through that this is going to be a red flower. You'll also be able to see that it's going to be a red flower because that picture is probably on the screen right now. In terms of easy keeping, medium light, cool to warm. So an enormous range of temperatures. And by the way, I'll be growing all of these in my normal household conditions, which will be supplemented with an evaporative humidifier most of the year, but definitely through the winter for sure. But I am really excited about this little plant. It may not be a novice's, and I'm a novice, it may not be a novice's first choice because it's a little on the pricey side for a small plant that if you don't have your watering down, you might kill it. This Cymbidium, I didn't plan to add to my collection for one, but it is named after Milton Carpenter, which is a former president of the American Orchid Society. I'm just going to call that AOS from here out. So it's Cymbidium Milton Carpenter Everglades. And I had placed an order for a different plant, and Jason Fisher, son of the founder of Orchids Limited, emailed me that that plant was unfortunately unavailable. So he did the right sales thing and said, we have some of these that aren't on the web yet. There are some Japanese hybrids that are green. We can refund your money. We can give you store credit. So that's how you take care of a problem. Every option's on the table. And because of the flower, because of how long it lasts, because it can handle cool down to like just shy of freezing and bloom more than once a year, I went with this plant, and I am really happy with this. One, just as a plant, I love a grassy looking plant, and I would love to add like a vanilla plant, but the amount of light and the difficulty in flowering those for some people, especially like me, It's probably not going to end up in my house, but I think this looks really cool. But those flowers, and let me check here, it says, and this is going to bring me to a point about growing orchids well from the beginning, and I'm going to read a little bit off of Orchid Web's website here. Like all Cymbidiums, they prefer to be somewhat tight in their pots, which encourages flowering. Now, you know from Hoya, everybody says that about every Hoya. And I say, nonstop, that has not been my experience. They don't need huge pots, but I have certainly never had a plant flower just because it wasn't root bound. But when there is a consensus from knowledgeable people from American AOS, Orchid Web, other nurseries, that Cymbidium want to be in a tight pot, I take it seriously, and it'll be in a tight pot. I guess last thing to note about this plant is that it's in that medium to high light range, and that should not be a problem for me. While my Oncostyliopsis Brazilian Sun Samba doesn't have a lot of flowers open, it has this spike here, and then a really nice flower spike here. It has just the right colors for autumn. And just look how beautiful these are. Orchid Web notes no discernible fragrance. Other people do, and I would say I definitely do, and it's very faint, but I would call it like a real light honey type scent, I guess. This is an intergeneric hybrid, as you may have noted from the name, and kind of a, I'm told, rare color for this family of plants. So at any rate, I think it is absolutely beautiful. Another plant that can go all the way cool to intermediate temperatures, and that is just fine. I mean, intermediate is fine for this household. Intermediate is much cooler than you might think. And a plant, in my experience, is not simply going to perish if it goes a couple of degrees cooler than its comfort zone once in a while. So, at any rate, another great looking plant from these guys, and I can't wait to get more flowers on this, and it can flower more than once a year. Not too much to show on this next intergeneric hybrid. This is Bolera Marfitch Howard's Dream. This is an Award of Merit winner. Very, very, very long flower spike. And would you look at the flowers I'm putting on the screen right now? Deep, dark, and bold. The only disappointment is going to be that they aren't fragrant. But that's okay, because this will bloom more than once a year. Long-lasting flowers, 5 inches, absolutely fantastic. I am so preoccupied with not putting this flower spike into the chandelier that I forgot where I left off. So 5-inch flowers, not fragrant with bold color. Is that right, I think? It's a cool intermediate grower, medium light, watered as that moss just starts to dry out, which is the case with so many of my plants, and I love it. Cannot wait for the flowers on this one, and you'll be the second to see them. All right, now we're going to shift gears to the nursery Krull Smith out of Florida, and these are all in the Cattleya Alliance. The one I'm showing you right now is Brassavola Moi. I've been growing this for over a year. I bought it as one of those a little bit larger seedling getting towards blooming size, or I suppose maybe you could call that blooming size. And when you're shopping, if you're new to buying orchids at a nursery, they'll tell you approximate time to its first flowers. Although I came across one this morning that said blooming size plant should bloom in 2 years. That is not blooming size. That's kind of approaching blooming size, but it'll be in the next flowering season. So if I were to buy a summer bloomer now at blooming size, I'm going to be waiting a while for it to flower. But at any rate, this flower has been open now for several weeks, and the theme that all of these plants that I'm about to show you have is that they have Brassavola nodosa in the background. So hybrids or hybrids of that flower, and that's called Queen of the Night. It's a species orchid, attracts moths. You'll see a picture of mine up there. I'm so excited about the fragrance of these flowers that I had to put this down. One, I didn't want to keep shaking it at you in the lens, but if you have not smelled a Brassavola nodosa or one of the many, many hybrids out there, it's quite unlike any other flower I have smelled. So it's not that sweet smell like the Cattleyas are on their own. It's maybe for some people it would be an acquired taste. To me, when I smelled it for the first time, it hit some zone in my brain, and I love it. The species nodosa I have truly only has any fragrance at night, and it kind of comes on a little bit later. And as someone who goes to bed fairly early and gets up very early, I kind of miss most of the fragrance of that plant. So, and it is now mature enough that it can free flower throughout the year. And so if it does decide to flower during these darker months, I'll be in good shape. This one, however, and what has me, even if I didn't like how this looked, and I love these green star-shaped petals and sepals, very turgid, I love it. But even if I didn't like the flower, this is scented all day and night. So it is very strong in the evening hours, as you would expect to attract moths, but that scent starts coming on early. Now that might be the time of year, it's getting dark earlier, and it stays potent until well into the morning, like a normal person's morning, not 4 in the morning to 5 in the morning, something like that. It is still quite potent until like 9 a.m. and it still has fragrance all day long. And I don't know, you probably know a lot more about orchids than I do, but I don't, how many orchids have fragrance 24 hours a day? And this is a very nice fragrance still, and it is right now 1:15 in the afternoon. So that is my theme. I wanted to group a bunch of these that can flower twice a year or become just free flowering as they get older. Now I'm going to show you a couple that came in a condition that I wish they hadn't. But they do have the advantage of being very affordable, so, and one has 2 spikes on it, so easily forgivable. But I really like the nursery management at Orchid Web. They always come perfectly potted in fresh medium. We'll get to the Krull Smith now. To clarify, I am not knocking Krull Smith. They have fantastic plants. I've got a bunch from them. They're all growing great. Just the nursery management at orchidweb.com is incredible, but more expensive. So you can't have it all. Let's start off Krull Smith with a banger. And none of these have flowers, so you'll be seeing the pictures of them. But this one right here is the Vanara Golden Spice. And holy crap, look at the flower. Can you see why I wanted this one? I elected to go with the 4-inch pot rather than 3-inch. They're sold out of the 4-inch right now, but you can get on a waiting list and they'll let you know when it comes back in if you want it. Got some lovely new growth right there. This is just such a great looking plant. This is a hybrid of the very, very popular hybrid Brassavola Richard Mueller and an Epidendrum stamfordianum. And again, I hope that's how you pronounce it, but I won't be embarrassed if it's not quite right. So, a lovely plant, and I can't wait to get this to flower. A lovely plant that can flower multiple times a year, obviously with more growths, but this has the best possible start. Love this plant. These plants are obviously going to go a little bit more quickly because the care requirements are the same for all of them. Intermediate to warm conditions, medium to bright light, water as the medium approaches dryness. These are all potted in their medium of bark, leca, charcoal. I no doubt when the time is right to repot these, we'll be putting them in sphagnum moss, my preferred. I saw a guy on the AOS Facebook site said sphagnum moss is the death of orchids. You must, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, if you're going to make a bold statement like that, you have to at least acknowledge that many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of plants and growers are growing their plants in sphagnum moss, but no acknowledgement of that. And I haven't forgotten. I'm going to give you my #1 tip for growing plants well. But let's take a closer look at another one I'm really excited about. This is a redo of Brassavola Hamlin's Magic. This one apparently takes more of its character from Cattleya jalapa, which gives it those darker leaves. Stunning, absolutely stunning. And it's partnered with Brassavola nodosa. So if we can get those flowers with a similar fragrance, I mean, come on now. Who can say you don't like orchids? Hoya people. That's who says it, Hoya people. They're so dug in on Hoya that, oh no, not orchids. I couldn't possibly. You're not cheating on your wife. It's just more plants. But another terrific looking plant from Krull Smith. It sounds like I might take a quick break to let my puppy outside, and I will be right back. I guess she's just up from her nap and wants to play, so you'll see a puppy from time to time. This is another Brassavola hybrid right here, and this one is Richard Mueller and the aforementioned Cattleya jalapa. I am not one, as you may well know, to do a lot of repeats in my collection. I don't want every carnosa. I do not care. I don't want every color of a particular plant. I don't want multiple Hoya polyneura just because there's a new variegated leaf available. But in this family of plants, plants that are very easy to grow, have interesting flowers, flower multiple times per year in this case, and in this one particular, has a ton of flowers per inflorescence. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go for that. And they're really affordable. And there is the secret to being a great orchid grower right from the beginning. I guess I will be going outside. We're back. This one kind of lifted out of its pot, and I'm not sure if I need to address that or not. Any advice is welcome. Where was I? Growing orchids well from the very beginning. So the foundation of good growing is understanding your environment. And my house changes from a south window from downstairs to upstairs, for instance, dramatically different. I've grown in this house for a long time, so I really understand what I am dealing with for all 4 seasons. With orchids, there are excellent culture sheets from AOS, from nurseries, from trusted, reliable sources. I choose from those plants that are most likely going to want to grow here. It's that simple. I buy plants that are likely to succeed. But how many of us have watched YouTube where someone's on their 3rd, 4th, 5th time trying to grow an Anthurium workwianum well, and it just looks like hell? Because it's just not going to work. It just isn't. And so if I want an orchid and it needs to be cool and humid, that's not for me. If it needs to grow warm and humid year-round, that's also not for me. Intermediate, cool intermediate, intermediate warm, there are a million orchids available in that range. So it's up to me to choose those. And there are so many wonderful orchids that are really affordable. I am right now probably preaching to the choir though. Well, here is another really fine looking plant. This is Brassavola Richard Mueller crossed with Cattleya Orchid Glade. And this one can produce a number of different colored flowers. It's from seed, so I'll put up the 3 that Krull Smith provides. I know I have my favorite. I would love to get that kind of peachy colored one, but I get no say in this. It will flower how it wants to flower. This is just another great looking plant that will flower multiple times per year. And as I've been saying, with good culture, you have to provide it enough light. And these are cheap plants. Or I told Kathleen I wasn't going to call these cheap because I realize that especially now people are struggling. So affordable. These are grocery store price plants at $16. And it's going to bring me $16 worth of joy. I am absolutely certain of it. All right, here's the first of two that I wish the nursery would have, when the roots were just coming out, cut back the old growth, repotted the plant, and not giving me what I have down here. This is the Brassavola yellow bird, and while it's got a flower spike there and a flower spike there, and it is a very healthy looking plant, and this isn't the worst of the two, it has all of these roots here that are not in active growth. So as I understand it and have experienced, if these were in active growth, we could cut them back, repot it, they would branch like crazy. If you know more about this than I do, again, you almost certainly do, I can't put these in anything, right? They'll just die. We'll probably edit that out. Got the noisiest thing we can have against a hardwood floor. So as far as I know, that is not going to work. So water it as usual and spray and wait for the new growth. I guess that's my plan, although I'll be checking the comments right away to see what you say. But otherwise, what a great looking plant. Can't argue with that. And did I say that it's Brassavola nodosa and Brassavola Richard Mueller? Don't know if I did or not. But very, very common plant, super popular for a reason. Great looking flower. Great looking plant. I'm just doing these plants in order from the invoice so it's easy to copy and paste as I'm doing editing. So that means we're saving the wildest roots for last. This is the Brassavola Crazy Arachno, and I kind of just have a piece of trellis that was laying around just to kind of put up these rather long leaves. Real super neat terete leaves, and this can flower year-round as this matures. So I'm really excited about that. And new growth, I mean, who doesn't love that? So I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to have this cascade over the pot. I have another one that also does the same thing, so it could be a theme, but really cool flowers, and again, can do that virtually year-round on a more mature plant. I plan to be on Earth for a few more years, so I may indeed see that, but what a neat plant. I love terete leaves. And you don't know what terete leaves are. It's like that pencil-like leaf, and they're so long. I mean, that's easily a foot long. So, super cool plant. All right, let's get to the mess of roots. I mean, for real. I have 3 terracotta pots holding this down so it doesn't tip over. This is an unnamed hybrid from Cattleya Small World and Brassavola Richard Mueller. And again, a very healthy plant, but I wish when there had been new growth that they would have repotted it. But again, very affordable plants. You just can't have it all. Now it looks like this leaf broke and they left it and it healed itself, so that's good. But this is a mess. This is a mess. And so I much would have preferred that this had been managed and it's upright so I could put it with my little Brassavola garden. I'm just going to call it Brassavola, even though it won't only be that. But this type of plant, yeah, I guess, again, open to advice, but I would wait for new growth, cut off the old growth, get it potted up properly, and yeah, just have to wait till next year for that because, again, no active growth tips on this. So it's a mess, but that flower is beautiful. And let me check my notes real quick. Wanted to make sure I had my facts right. So it comes out orange, the flowers emerge orange, then fade to that beautiful yellow with the burgundy spots. And this particular plant can handle lower light levels. So any advice on this one or the yellow bird or any of the other plants, Much appreciated. My puppy is bored, making a ton of noise. It must be time to sign off. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you in the next one where we'll no doubt have Hoya soon. Bye-bye.